Hey guys, this is Dr. Dane with Mother Goose Chiropractic, your friendly neighborhood pediatric chiropractor, as we like to say. So today I want to talk about something that for any parent at some point along the line has probably been an issue, and that is ear infections. They're not fun, they rob kiddos of sleep, they overwhelm their immune system, they can come and go, require multiple rounds of antibiotics, and they can also pave the way for future immune challenges, like allergies and asthma. And I'm going to explain all of that, but most importantly, I'm going to explain how neurologically focused pediatric chiropractic can help nip the cause of the problem in the bud, get your kiddos' ears clear, drained, healing, and knock those infections out, down for the count. So the start would be to talk about, where do ear infections come from, what happens? So what we see in chiropractic practice, seeing lots of infants, toddlers, and children, wherever your child is along the age ranges, ear infections can be a pervasive problem. And what we find 9 times out of 10 is that the source, the genesis of those ear infections comes from alignment in the upper neck, in the upper cervical spine. It's a very delicate area. Oftentimes we see that it can be damaged or distorted or irritated during like a rough birth process and delivery. Oh, there we go, welcome to the world. But there's a problem up here that no one looks for, no one catches. And neurologically and biomechanically, which I'm going to show you in just a second, that has all kinds of health consequences for a young developing child's brain and nervous system. So if you have fixation, if the upper neck isn't moving properly, what it does is the muscles in this area, in the head and neck, they start to tighten. And muscle imbalance can put pressure on what's called the eustachian tubes. Now, those are the tubes in the inner ear. And if you have a kiddo that's ever had ear infections and you've done just a quick search on Google or talk to your pediatrician, that's probably the first thing they mention, is that their eustachian tubes are blocked and they're not draining. So think about this. Movement and motion is critical for proper plumbing up there. You need proper movement and motion in the upper neck in order for the eustachian tubes to be able to drain. So if there's fixation and there's muscle tension up there because the spine isn't happy, isn't moving properly, it can irritate that whole system. It can put pressure on those eustachian tubes. The muscles aren't activating properly, and so the eustachian tubes can't complete their normal action of milking fluid out, because drainage is normal in the ears, especially in a growing, developing child. So, but if they're backed up, we call those kiddos poor plumbers, meaning things aren't draining properly. If fluid backs up, then it can fester, and that's what can lead to ear infections, right? We've all probably got an ear, clogged at the pool, right? But you shake or you pull and you do what you got to do, hopefully right away. But if not, within an hour or so, that relax and okay, we're good. But again, if things are not moving properly, the biomechanics are off and the nerves are irritated, those eustachian tubes can clog and back up. Fluid festers, that causes infection. Now, conventional methods would be to treat that with ear infections, with antibiotics, So when we have parents that come to us, we have kiddos that have been on anywhere from 3 grams of antibiotics upwards of 20. It's not a joke. So here's the problem with that. Antibiotics, as you know, can lower resilience in the good bacteria in the GI system and the immune system, and the gut. Proper gut flora, proper gut bacteria are critical for a developing immune system. So antibiotics are great if there's a true infection and they're needed, but multiple rounds, you're really kind of just nuking your child's immune system via the good bacteria in the gut, because an antibiotic does not differentiate between good bacteria and bad bacteria. It just says, oh, there's bacteria, take it all out, let's get rid of it. So the infection goes away. So where we come in, when we get a child's nervous system checked and adjusted with ear infection kiddos, we really pay specific attention to, again, that upper neck, that upper cervical spine. We look for any signs of fixation there. And if we identify that, we call misalignments subluxation, that's our word for it. If we identify and we see that they're subluxated in their upper neck, we gently get that area, gently checked and adjusted, whether that's a newborn, toddler, 6, 7, 8-year-old, whatever's going on. And when we get the pressure off those nerves and we get that area moving properly, oftentimes those eustachian tubes are allowed to relax and release, and they drain just like your shower. It's a beautiful thing. I have had children that have had, multiple tube surgeries. After adjustments, the parents say they go to sleep, boom, the tubes, all the fluid comes out, the tubes come out, they never have another ear infection again. So whether your child's on their first round of antibiotics, or they've had tube surgery, or they're a little bit older, like I said, 5, 6, 7, and ear infections are still a problem, they're not going away, it would behoove you, it would be a wonderful idea to get their spinal nervous system checked and adjusted to see if there's a root cause outside of just the bacteria and outside of just the ear infection itself. And in closing, I want to also talk about how it's really, really important to get that issue addressed instead of just throwing multiple rounds of antibiotics at it, because every time you have an ear infection and then that backs up, it can also spill over into the mucous membranes, into the sinuses. And when you have clogging up here, not only can it damage hearing long term, but also it can spill over, again, like I said, into the sinuses, postnasal drip. And when you have that situation chronically, bacteria that the body is not able to filter out and it's not able to clear, and all that just kind of festers and drips down and sits in the lungs, that's no bueno. That tells the immune system, okay, we got to be on high alert for a long time because something is not right. And that sets the stage, that immune imbalance, that chronic infections, it sets the stage later in life, 8, 9, and 10, for either allergies or asthma. And we see it all the time in older kiddos. And when we go and we do a health history and we trace it back, oh yeah, really difficult birth, big birth trauma, major subluxation, upper neck, nervous system's irritated, the immune system doesn't develop and boot up the way that it's supposed to. Oh yeah, they had chronic ear infections. Well, why 7, 8 years later do they now have sports-induced asthma? Because the body never learned to fight out that infection and never cleared all the junk, and it festered. And an overactive immune system, that's a recipe, like I said, for tomorrow's allergies and asthma. So we can help you get your child healing naturally, nip these issues in the bud, get them restful sleep, get them draining, and we would love to be able to help your family if that's something that's affecting your kiddo. Let us know if you have any further questions or we can be of help in any way. We'd love to be able to help. Take care.